So happy new car day in GTA Online. So this week's offers have released, and with that we've got some more of the drip feed from the new Money Fronts DLC, and that is the Tampa GT, which I think is now officially the best car in GTA Online. Not the fastest, I didn't say the fastest, but definitely the definitely the best, but I've not shown it in a great light there. So yeah, let's rewind that and let's do that again. So yeah, blah blah blah, happy new car day, all that good stuff. Why do I think this is the best car? And again, focus on the word best, not fastest. Well, there are quite a few good reasons. First, we've got to start with the looks, because this thing looks amazing. If you like muscle cars, you're going to absolutely love this thing. Except when it does that constantly. Right. So this is a problem. Now, I've driven this quite a lot, and I've got to say, I know there's a good time in this car. There's absolutely a good time in here somewhere. But I guess what we need is, well, I think we need a montage. So there you see what I mean. We got that all the way down from 9.5 minutes to under 8. Now this is a HSW car, so it is to be expected that it is quite quick. But it's a HSW muscle car, and as we just whizzed through the customization, usually HSW and muscle is a bad combination. You know, you just have to look at the arbiter to know that those two things should not go together. But with this car, it kind of works. Now, customization wise, it's great. It looks like a proper old school muscle car. It's a really nice model. There's just a hell of a lot going for it. I think you can make it look really nice. I've gone for kind of like a resto mod kind of look, straight out of pick a random show from Netflix where they restore these old cars and they all look like this. So I also went for a nice green with this one, which I don't usually do, because the lighter colours tend to look better in the thumbnails. But yeah, this thing pretty much kicks in green, so happy with that. So with the customization done, now it's time to take this thing out on the road and talk about why I think it is the best car in the game. And it's not just because of the speed. I mean, there is plenty of speed, but as you've probably seen, the handling can be a little bit tricky from time to time. And that's because this car introduces something brand new. So this is the PlayStation 5 controller, and this is the acceleration trigger, which usually has two modes. Those modes are on and off. Now this car introduces a whole new part of the controller. I like to call it the middle, and that's that point where you can't quite use full acceleration. What this basically means is you need to plan, you know, kind of like this. Now I'm not going to say this car turns it into a sim racer, because then all of my comments would just be like this. You daft prick. But what it does do is it forces you to use a couple of sim racing techniques. So for example, if you want to drive this thing quick, you need to plan each corner. You need to know each corner, and you need to plan each corner. So you need to plan the entry point, the apex and the exit. You need to know how fast you need to be going at the start, how much speed you can carry through the corner, and when to accelerate out of it. You need to use the right amount of brake and the right amount of acceleration, because if you don't, you'll just go spinning off in a fireball. Now, the other thing you might notice as we do the top speed test is, well, this. Yeah, that was my thought as well. This car is not slow, and I think there's an even quicker lap in this one. I haven't quite got it tamed yet, but I am working on it, and I think it's worth it because it just makes the driving so much more fun in the game. And as I say before, people dive into the comments, I'm not saying it's a sim racer, I'm not saying it's closer to GTA 4 physics, because it really isn't. They were very, very different. But it is the first of the HSW cars, certainly at least the first of the HSW muscle cars, where you actually need to drive properly. You can't just barrel into a corner, put a dab of brakes on at the last minute, and assume you'll make it through the corner, because you won't. You need to actually drive properly, and that's why I think this is now the best car in the game. With some careful use, you may actually get it to be one of the fastest cars in the game. Not quite the fastest, but it is really, really quick. But the fact that it makes you drive properly, I think that is brilliant, and I love it for that. Now, it's not cheap. It's going to cost you, I can't remember, this much to buy, but then the HSW upgrade is another $1.5 million on top. So it's not a cheap car, so you would expect it to be quick. But honestly, for the amount of fun I'm going to have in this car, I think it's absolutely worth it. I think this has absolutely taken over as my favourite car from the DLC so far. And again, just based on the fact that you have to actually use it properly. I think it's brilliant that we've finally got a car that, and again, I can't say it feels less arcadey, because all of the driving in this thing is arcadey. Because the thing it does, and the reason you have to get used to this car, is the slightest little tap and things like this happen. And this. And this. So you have to really get used to it. You have to be able to control it, because the slightest little tap and you'll find yourself pirouetting off into the sunset. But if you put a bit of time in, and if you put some effort in, put some laps in, it's a really rewarding car to drive. So yeah, if you've got the money, 100% this is one I think you should be picking up, definitely. New favourite car in the game. Certainly not the fastest, definitely the best. And as we come around here, you'll see that it's done a really, really respectable lap time. Now, I say respectable, 7:55 doesn't put it near the top of the HSW leaderboard, but it is still, compared to most of the cars in the game, it is a very, very solid lap, especially for a HSW muscle car. Because if you follow this list down, you'll see how the arbiter did. So I hope that was useful, and I'll see you all in the next one.